We are here with new episode. As the movie nears its end, I find myself losing interest in watching it anymore. I was there, I saw it, and now it just doesn't appeal to me. Every year, around this time, it becomes the peak moment to talk about Macaulay Culkin. Behind that famous Home Alone scream was a child who was living through a nightmare. At just 10 years old, Macaulay Culkin had already made $50 million, but he had no idea. His father made sure of that. Now, the painful truth comes to light: the threats, the abuse, and the shocking reason his own father turned him into a prisoner of fame. This isn't just another story of a child actor. This is a heartbreaking tale of betrayal that will leave you speechless. Macaulay Culkin was born on August 26, 1980, in Manhattan, New York. He grew up in a large family with 6 siblings, but their home was tiny. Money was always tight. They lived in a cramped apartment in Yorkville, where all the children had to share bunk beds in one room. There were no doors, just a narrow hallway that they called home. Privacy didn't exist, but the chaos of their living conditions brought them closer as a family. His father, Kit Culkin, had once pursued a career as a stage actor before taking a job at a local church. His mother, Patricia Brentrup, worked as a telephone operator at a casting agency. That small connection to the entertainment industry would change Macaulay's life forever. Life was tough for the young boy. He later shared how he would crawl under theater seats looking for loose change, a small but clear sign of how much his family struggled. However, in that overcrowded apartment, something else was happening. Kit Culkin had once dreamed of becoming a successful actor, but when his own career didn't take off, he saw an opportunity through his children. He pushed them into show business, believing one of them could succeed where he had failed. Macaulay stood out from the rest. Even before turning 5, he was performing in off-Broadway productions like Bark Babies and The Nutcracker with the New York City Ballet. His mother's job helped open doors. She had connections in casting agencies, and one director, Billy Hopkins, even paid for Macaulay's rides to auditions. By the time he was 8, Macaulay had landed small roles in movies like Rocket Gibraltar and See You in the Morning. But everything changed in 1989 when he starred in Uncle Buck alongside John Candy. His performance stole the show. His expressions, comedic timing, and natural charm made him impossible to ignore. He wasn't just another child actor, he had something special. Then came Home Alone, the movie that changed everything. At first, Macaulay was just another kid auditioning for the role of Kevin McAllister. He had no idea he was about to become the most famous child actor in the world. The film, directed by Chris Columbus and written by John Hughes, told the story of a young boy accidentally left behind during Christmas who had to defend his home from 2 burglars. It was funny, smart, and had just the right amount of heart. But none of it would have worked without the perfect child star. Chris Columbus first saw Macaulay during auditions but wasn't convinced. He kept looking, auditioning over 200 other children. None of them had the same spark. When Macaulay returned for a second audition, he had memorized 2 entire scenes from the script. He didn't just say the lines, he became Kevin. That was it. The search was over. When Home Alone hit theaters in 1990, it became an instant phenomenon. Audiences couldn't get enough of Kevin's clever tricks and hilarious pranks. The film made over $285 million in the US alone, shattering records and turning Macaulay into a global superstar. His face was everywhere, on posters, magazines, and even lunchboxes. Kevin's famous scream, his love for cheese pizza, and his fearless attitude became pop culture icons. Macaulay's performance was a huge reason why Home Alone worked so well. He made Kevin McAllister more than just a mischievous kid, he made him funny, brave, and relatable. Audiences loved him, and Hollywood took notice. Suddenly, every major studio wanted him in their next big movie. 2 years later, Home Alone 2, Lost in New York was released. This time, Kevin found himself alone again, but now he had the entire city as his playground. The sequel kept everything that made the first movie great, adding bigger stunts and even funnier moments. It didn't earn as much as the original, but it was still a massive hit, making over $173 million in the US. For Macaulay, Home Alone 2 was more than just another movie, it was a financial breakthrough. He had been paid a large sum for the first film, but for the sequel, he earned an incredible $4.5 million. By the time he starred in Richie Rich in 1994, his salary had skyrocketed to $15 million per film. At just 14 years old, he was one of the highest-paid actors in Hollywood. But fame came at a price. His father, Kit Culkin, managed his career and pushed for higher paychecks. However, behind the scenes, things were difficult. By the mid-90s, Macaulay started stepping away from acting. He had made more money than he could ever spend, and the pressure of fame had become overwhelming. Even after leaving Hollywood, Home Alone never lost its charm. Every December, families around the world watched Kevin outsmart the burglars, making it a holiday tradition. The film wasn't just a movie, it became a treasured part of people's childhoods. Decades later, Home Alone remains one of the most beloved films of all time. The hilarious pranks, the creative traps, and the heartfelt story all contributed to its success. But at the heart of it all was Macaulay Culkin. He was Kevin McAllister, and no matter how many years pass, that little boy with the mischievous grin will always remind audiences of the magic of Christmas. During the early 90s, Macaulay was everywhere. But as he got older, things began to change. He wanted to prove he was more than just the funny kid from Home Alone. He wanted to challenge himself with different roles. In 1991, he starred in My Girl, a movie that was completely different from anything he had done before. It wasn't a comedy or an adventure film, it was emotional and heartbreaking. He played Thomas J., a sweet and fragile boy allergic to nearly everything. His performance was touching, and the film became a hit, earning over $17 million in the US. It was the first time audiences saw him as more than just a child star. Then, in 1993, he shocked everyone with The Good Son. Instead of playing a lovable troublemaker, he took on the role of Henry Evans, a child with no conscience or remorse. His performance was chilling, unsettling, and completely different from anything he had done before. Critics had mixed reactions, but one thing was certain: Macaulay Culkin had range. He was willing to take risks. His father, Kit, had aggressively pushed for him to get the role, even threatening to pull him out of Home Alone 2 unless he was cast. It was a risky move, but it paid off. By 1994, the excitement around Macaulay was beginning to fade. He starred in Richie Rich, playing a billionaire kid with a heart of gold. The movie had potential, but something was missing. The magic that made his earlier films so special wasn't there anymore. While the movie performed decently at the box office, it didn't capture the same level of success. At just 14 years old, he made a shocking decision: he walked away from Hollywood. He had been one of the highest-paid child actors of all time, making $8 million per film. But he had been working since he was 4 years old. He had never known a life outside of acting. He wanted to experience normal things, go to school, make friends, and just be a regular teenager. In May 2002, Macaulay Culkin and Mila Kunis started dating. At the time, both were young stars trying to navigate life in Hollywood. Even though Macaulay had stepped away from the industry, he was still known as the Home Alone Kid. During the time when Kunis was becoming famous for her role in that 70s show, she and Culkin kept their relationship mostly private, even though the media was always watching. In a 2007 interview, Kunis described their life as simple. They spent time reading, playing video games, and watching movies together. She also mentioned that Culkin was an amazing cook who made dinner every night. However, as the years passed, things became more complicated. By 2006, Culkin was living in New York while Kunis was in Los Angeles. The long-distance relationship became difficult, and in early 2011, they decided to separate. Kunis's publicist at the time stated that the breakup was amicable and that they remained friends. However, in 2018, Kunis admitted in a podcast that it was not as smooth as people believed. She said she handled the breakup poorly and regretted how things ended. Despite this, the breakup allowed both of them to move forward. Kunis married Ashton Kutcher in 2015, and Culkin later found love with actress Brenda Song. Culkin and Song first met in 2014 at a gathering hosted by Seth Green, but they didn't start dating right away. In 2017, they worked together on Green's film Changeland and grew closer. By October of that year, They were seen in public holding hands at Knott's Scary Farm and attending events together. Unlike many Hollywood couples, they chose to keep their relationship private. In April 2021, they welcomed their first child, a son named Dakota, in honor of Culkin's sister who had passed away in 2008. In December 2022, they had their second son, Carson. Instead of hiring a nanny, they relied on Song's parents for help. Culkin spent most of his time at home, calling himself a homebody dad, while Song balanced work and motherhood. At some point before 2023, they got engaged but didn't rush to get married. They joked about eloping but decided to wait so Song's family could be involved. In December 2023, when Culkin received his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, fans noticed Song wearing a gold band, sparking rumors that they had already married. However, the couple never confirmed anything, as their focus remained on raising their children. Culkin has always spoken highly of Song, once saying that he believed in her down to his bone marrow. Their relationship has never been about grand gestures or public attention but rather about trust, love, and building a life together. Culkin was once one of the biggest child stars in Hollywood, but behind the cameras, his life was far from glamorous. His father, Kit Culkin, was not only his manager but controlled every aspect of his life. Kit made all the decisions, handled the money, and pushed Macaulay to work non-stop. Hollywood executives found Kit difficult to deal with, as he delayed films like The Good Son and The Nutcracker to get his way. However, what people didn't know was that Macaulay had almost no say in his career. For years, he had no idea how much money he was making because his father kept that information from him. When Macaulay finally learned the truth, he discovered he was worth around $50 million. This revelation came during a bitter custody battle between his parents. Kit had hidden newspapers from him, ensuring he never saw headlines about his own success. It wasn't just about protecting him, it was about keeping him under control. Macaulay wanted to stop acting, but his father wouldn't allow it. Kit had once tried to be an actor himself but never made it. By the time Macaulay was 10 years old, he had already surpassed anything his father had ever achieved. Instead of feeling proud, Kit seemed resentful and angry. In 1995, everything fell apart when his parents went to court over custody of their children. This battle wasn't just about raising them, it was also about controlling Macaulay's career and fortune. His parents had been splitting a 15% commission from his earnings, with the rest placed in a trust. This raised a difficult question: was the custody fight really about parental rights, or was it about money? Legal documents revealed a darker side of Kit. Macaulay's mother, Patricia, accused Kit of drinking too much, being abusive, and even abandoning the family. Kit denied everything, claiming she was making it up to win the case. But Macaulay didn't need a court to tell him the truth, he had lived it. He later described his father as cruel. If he didn't perform perfectly, Kit would threaten to hit him. Sometimes, as punishment, he was forced to sleep on the couch. It wasn't just about discipline, it was about power. Macaulay was one of the most famous children in the world, but at home, he had no control over his own life. At 16, he finally took a stand and removed his parents from managing his finances. It was the first real step toward taking back his life, but it came at a cost. By 1997, Kit was completely out of his children's lives. The man who had once controlled everything was suddenly gone. Even after his father's influence was gone, Macaulay couldn't escape the pressure of fame. In 2004, he was arrested in Oklahoma City for possession of marijuana and prescription drugs. He was briefly jailed and later sentenced to 3 one-year suspended prison terms. The tabloids went wild, painting him as another child star who had lost his way. Then in 2012, photos surfaced of Macaulay looking frail and disheveled, sparking rumors of drug addiction. Some reports claimed he was spending thousands of dollars a month on heroin. The National Enquirer even ran a story suggesting he was close to death. However, Macaulay fought back. In an interview with The Guardian, he denied the rumors, sarcastically stating, "No, I was not spending $6,000 a month on heroin." What bothered him most wasn't the false accusations but the way the media pretended to care while profiting from his struggles. He called out their hypocrisy, saying, "No, you're just trying to sell newspapers." Despite everything, Macaulay eventually found peace. He stepped away from Hollywood and built a quieter life, mostly living in France. Fame had once defined him, but now he actively avoided it. When asked about his relationship with fame, he said, "I don't just turn my back on it, I actively don't want it." Macaulay's friendship with Michael Jackson was questioned by many people. Some thought it was unusual, while others believed it was something worse. When allegations against Jackson surfaced, their relationship became a major focus. However, Macaulay always defended Jackson, both during his lifetime and after his passing. Before Macaulay testified in Jackson's 2005 trial, he explained in an interview with Larry King how they first met. Jackson had called him out of the blue when Home Alone was at its peak. Macaulay wasn't a super fan, which may have been why they got along. He treated Jackson like a normal person rather than a legend. Their friendship wasn't just between the two of them, the entire Culkin family knew Jackson and spent time with him. Macaulay testified in court, denying the accusations against Jackson. He stated that he had never seen Jackson do anything inappropriate to anyone. Years later, when the documentary Leaving Neverland was released, Macaulay's response remained the same: nothing had ever happened, and he had no reason to lie. Over time, Macaulay slowly returned to acting, taking on roles that allowed him to explore new sides of himself. He chose projects that interested him rather than those that would make him famous. In 2023, he received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, not just for his childhood success but for his continued work in entertainment. Beyond acting, he explored different creative outlets, including web series, podcasts, and even a parody band called the Pizza Underground. Macaulay never chased fame. Instead, he pursued whatever interested him at the moment, shaping his career on his own terms. His approach to life was simple: he did what made him happy, no matter what others expected. Thanks for watching.